Couple of years ago, I had a bit of a revelation with desserts. I was in the middle of writing my 4th book, The Chef Gets Healthy, and one of the prerequisites for this book was that, or I should say that book, was that I didn't add any processed sugars. And when I got to the dessert section of that book, you can imagine things got a little tricky. I'm going to show you guys a variation of a dessert from that book, which is baked pears. And the cool thing about this is we rely on the natural sweetness of the pears to bring flavor to the syrup and the whole dish. So we don't need to add any processed sugar into there whatsoever. It's almost a very healthy dessert, actually. The first thing you want to do is get the oven preheating to 180 degrees Celsius. And then we're going to take a couple of figs. I'll do 5 pears because these actually travel really well for the next day. You can always put them through muesli and stuff like that. It's probably 2 or 3 dried figs. Chop them in half. And then run through those with a knife. And you know what? To make easier work of this, we might as well start to pull the dates and the nuts into the mixture as well. We can chop it finely all together. So a small handful of dates, run through them. And then I've got some walnuts. I'm going to scatter them over the top of this mixture. Pistachio nuts in there. And then we can start to chop all that. Of course, if you've got a food processor, use it. You don't need to chop it super fine, just to a consistency that'll actually fit in the cavity of a pear. Not that a pear has a cavity, but using a knife and sophisticated tools like a spoon, we're going to hollow out a little bit. Or if you've got an apple corer, that'd be even better. Maybe just get that bit. I kind of don't like with mixtures like this to chop it too finely because I like it to actually resemble food and not some super processed puree. So you can pop that to the side and then I'll show you one of the pears. So start by taking a knife and just slice the bottom of the pear off because we're going to bake these. So by doing that, it'll give you a beautiful platform to sit that up so it's not wobbling around everywhere in the baking tray, and also when you put it into the plate, it'll have the same effect as well. And then use a knife just to kind of hollow around. Take your time, no rush with this. And then boom. And then repeat for the other 4, 5, 600 pears, however many you're doing. Take a baking tray, roasting tray, whatever you want to call it. And as you probably all know by now, if you've been watching my channel for at least probably one clip, you know I like to line things with baking paper so we don't have to wash up ridiculously. I've trimmed a bit of baking paper so it sits nicely in there. So once you've got that ready to go, take your hollowed out pear, take some of this fruit and nut mixture, and really, not being too aggressive or muscly, but how do I say it? Forcefully push that into there so it's quite solid. And then we can go straight in. Try and choose a baking tray as well that fits these pears quite snugly. I think my favorite thing about this dessert is if we didn't have cameras running right now, I could probably make this whole dessert getting it into the oven within about 5 minutes. So it's actually really, really quick. And as I mentioned before, no added sugar. So it's pretty healthy too. We're getting lots of good nuts in there, which are good for you, and the pear. Right, once you've got your pears in there, look at that. That fits beautifully snugly. We can take a cinnamon stick, in you go. I'm also going to take just a little bit of honey, drizzle that over the top. There's about a tablespoon in there, nothing too excessive. And then some white wine. You could always interchange this out for water if you wanted to. So probably about a cup of white wine into the bottom of there. And this goes into the preheated oven for about 30 minutes or until, when prodded with a sharp, small paring knife, being something like this, you don't get resistance. "30 or 40 minutes and you get the pears like this, and I love that kind of blistery action you get around the outside there. And if you touch it, they're really, really soft. And you've got this beautiful syrup in the bottom, which is a reduction of the wine and all the liquor that's come out of the pears. I hope you guys dig this recipe. It's one of my favorites. I'll catch you next week.